The sound of brittle plastic crunching under a sneaker is something no miniature painter ever wants to hear. I ran to the backyard sandbox to see my 8-year-old nephew, Tyler, stomping on my award-winning Warhammer 40k army, burying my meticulously painted Adeptus Custodes in the dirt. I stopped at the edge of the patio, frozen. My brain refused to process the scene. These weren't just toys. These were the Golden Host. I had spent the last 9 months painting them for the grand tournament next week. I used non-metallic metal, NMM, techniques on every single model. I painted the eyes. I painted the text on the purity seals. The army was valued at roughly $2,500 for the commission quality alone, not counting the $800 in plastic. And now, Tyler was Godzilla.
Die Robots.
Tyler screamed, bringing his light-up sneaker down on my Telemann Heavy Dreadnought. Crack. The resin model, a $120 Forge World centerpiece, shattered. The arms flew off. The intricate golden halo snapped into dust. Tyler. I roared, sprinting across the grass. Tyler looked up, startled. In his hand, he was clutching a squad of custodian guard. He had been using them as shovels to dig in the wet sand. "Look, Uncle OP," he beamed, holding up a model that was caked in mud. "They are fighting in the desert." I snatched the model from his hand. The spear tip was snapped. The gold paint was scratched down to the grey plastic primer. The sand had acted like sandpaper, grinding away hundreds of hours of blending work. I looked at the sandbox. It was a graveyard. My jet bikes were half buried, their flight stand snapped. My Trajan Valoris, a model I spent 40 hours painting, was face down in a puddle of mud. "You destroyed them," I whispered, falling to my knees in the grass. "You destroyed everything." I was playing. Tyler whined, sensing the shift in my mood. "Mom said I could play with the little gold men." Mom said. I spun around. My sister, Sarah, was sitting on the patio furniture, drinking iced tea and scrolling on her phone. She looked up, annoyed by the noise. "What is it now?" she called out. "Let him play, OP. He's being so creative." Creative. I shouted, holding up the shattered torso of the Telemann. "Sarah, he smashed my tournament army. He buried them in the sand." Sarah rolled her eyes. "Oh, stop being such a baby. They're plastic toys. Just wash them off. He's just having fun. You have so many of them. Surely you can spare a few for your nephew. Wash them off." I stood up, walking toward her with the broken resin in my hands. "Sarah, this isn't dirt on a truck. This is acrylic paint on fragile resin. The sand scratched the paint off. The limbs are snapped. This army is worth $3,000. Sarah laughed. It was a high, dismissive sound. $3,000? For dolls? You are such a liar. I saw those at the comic book store for like $50 a box. Stop trying to make me feel bad because you're a hoarder." I painted them. I yelled, "It's the art. It's the time." And he stomped on them. "Here's a boy." Sarah snapped. "Boys break things. If you didn't want them broken, you shouldn't have left them in a case he could open. Now stop screaming. You're ruining my relaxation time." I looked at the sandbox. I looked at the golden shards glinting in the dirt. She thought they were dollar store army men. She thought I was the one in the wrong. I wasn't going to wash them off. I was going to bag them, tag them, and get a quote that would make her choke on her iced tea. I fell to my knees in the sandbox. The knees of my jeans soaked up the damp moisture from the sand, but I didn't care. I started digging. It was like an archaeological excavation of a tragedy. I brushed away a layer of sand and found the severed head of Trajan Valoris. The face I had spent 6 hours painting, layering glazes to get the skin tone perfect, was scratched beyond recognition. A few inches away, I found the Golden Throne banner, snapped in 3 pieces. "Why are you crying?" Tyler asked, standing over me with his hands on his hips. "I was making a war. They are soldiers, Uncle OP. Soldiers are supposed to get dirty. That's how they fight." "They aren't soldiers, Tyler," I whispered, my voice thick with emotion. "They are statues. You broke the statues. Stop confusing him." Sarah marched over, her flip-flops smacking loudly on the pavement. She looked down at me, huddled over the plastic corpses, with a look of absolute disgust. Are you seriously crying? She asked. Over little plastic toys? OP, look at yourself. You are a 28-year-old man digging in a sandbox for dolls. It's pathetic. Stop being such a man-child. Man-child? I stood up, clutching a handful of broken spears. Sarah, do you have any idea how many hours went into this? I painted every single one of these by hand. I used a magnifying glass. This isn't a toy you buy at the store. This is hundreds of hours of skilled labor. Labor? She laughed. It's coloring. You colored some plastic. Good for you. But Tyler was just playing. He didn't mean to break them. He was using his imagination. You should be happy he's not staring at an iPad. He destroyed my property. I shouted. These models cost $50 each just for the gray plastic. The paint job makes them worth hundreds. Oh, shut up with the money, she groaned. You always try to make everything about money. Look, if you're going to be such a baby about it, I'll fix it. We'll stop at the Dollar Tree on the way home. I'll buy you a whole bag of those green army men. You know, the ones with the little parachutes? There. Problem solved. You'll have 50 new soldiers. Ich zerrte her. The air left my lungs. You think. I stammered. You think a bag of green army men is the same as a competitive Adeptus Custodes army? They're both plastic men with guns, she shrugged. Whatever. It's the same thing. You just paint them gold and get over it. I can't just paint them gold. I screamed. It takes months. And the tournament is next week. I can't play with green army men. I will be disqualified. Well, maybe you shouldn't play games that are so strict, she snapped. God, you are exhausting. Come on, Tyler. Let's go. Your uncle is having a tantrum because you played with his toys. She grabbed Tyler's hand. Don't look at him, honey. He's being mean. If you leave, I said, my voice shaking with rage, I'm filing a police report for destruction of property. Sarah stopped. She turned back and laughed in my face. Call the police, she dared me. Please. I would love to see the look on the officer's face when you tell him a little boy broke your dolly. They'll laugh you out of the station. We are family. OP. You don't sue family over games. She turned and walked out of the yard. Tyler kicked a pile of sand onto the driveway as he left. I stood there, holding the broken pieces of my passion. She thought they were dolls. She thought I could replace them at the Dollar Tree. I walked inside. I carefully placed the broken models into a box. I wasn't going to fix them. I couldn't. I was going to take them to the War Room, the local hobby shop where I bought them. The owner, Mike, does professional commission painting. I was going to get a quote for what it would cost to replace this army at a professional standard on a rush order. And then, I was going to send the bill to Sarah. I drove straight to the War Room. I walked in carrying the box of sandy, broken plastic like it was a coffin. Mike, the owner, took one look at the Tellerman and winced. Sand? He asked. Sand, I confirmed. And a sneaker. Mike inspected the damage. The resin is snapped at the stress points. The paint is abraded. Honestly, OP, stripping and repainting would cost more than buying new. You need a total replacement. He sat down at his computer. Okay, let's look at the replacement value. The models retail for about $850. But the commission cost? 4 NMM gold on this many models? You're looking at level 4 quality. He typed up a formal quote on the shop's letterhead. Material replacement, $850. Commission fee, pro-painted standard $2,500. Rush fee, tournament deadline $500. Total replacement value, $3,850. The invoice. I texted a picture of the quote to Sarah. I also included screenshots of similar pro-painted armies selling on eBay for $3,000 to $4,000. Me, here is the official value of what Tyler destroyed. Please let me know how you want to handle this. Sarah replied immediately. Sarah, LOL. You are insane. I am not paying $4 grand for toys. Go ask Santa Claus. Blocked. The court case. I filed in small claims court. It cost me $75. Sarah showed up to the hearing without a lawyer. She brought a bag of Green Army men. I'm not joking. She dumped them on the defendant's table. Your Honor, she said, rolling her eyes. My brother is trying to scam me. He thinks his little dolls are worth thousands. Look at these. I bought 100 of them for $5. It's the same thing. I walked up to the bench. I handed the judge the quote from Mike. I handed him the photos of my army before the incident. Glowing, intricate, beautiful. I handed him the photos of the army after, crushed in the mud. Your Honor, I said, this is not about the plastic. It is about the art. If I smashed a canvas painting, I wouldn't owe the artist for the cost of the canvas and paint. I would owe them for the artwork. The judge, a stern woman who looked like she had no patience for nonsense, picked up the photos. She looked at the Green Army men. The judge said to Sarah. The plaintiff has provided expert testimony regarding the value of his property. You have provided toys. You are comparing a coloring book to a Rembrandt. But it's a game. Sarah argued. He's a grown man. He is a man whose property you destroyed, the judge said. The verdict. Judgment for the plaintiff in the amount of $3,850, plus court costs. Sarah turned purple. I can't pay that. I have to pay for Tyler's karate lessons. Then maybe Tyler shouldn't stomp on $3,000 art projects, the judge said. The aftermath. She refused to pay. I had to garnish her wages. Every 2 weeks, I get a check for $150. It will take 2 years to pay off. I missed the tournament, but I used the first few checks to buy a new Telemann. I'm painting it now. It's going to be even better than the last one. And I installed a lock on my door. A heavy one. Sarah tells the family I'm dead to her. She says I chose plastic men over my nephew. But every time I look at my new army, safe behind glass, I know I didn't choose plastic.
Il chose respect.
And that is worth every penny.